All right, welcome to the very first Wrestling Breakdown podcast with Ed and Vanessa. And it is great to have you with us here. Hey, Vanessa, what's going on?
What's going on, Ed? It's glad to be back. The dynamic duo back together again.
Yeah, this is podcast number 1. That's just under this title. We've got dozens of these behind us, so we're not rookies when it comes to this.
Most definitely not. And the funny thing about that is the other day I was on Facebook, and Facebook has this new feature thing that you could, it's called On This Day, and you can press it and you can see what you essentially posted about, like, on a certain day, like, many years ago. But 2 days ago was 3 years ago that I joined Wrestling News Blog, so it's crazy to think that we've been doing this for 3 years.
Let's see. Trevor was sending me a message. Hit speaker. Are we good to go now, Trevor? We still getting used to the new site, Vanessa, and it's much I It's just different, and so there's sometimes where I see what he's talking about now. Actually, we are on the speaker, and so maybe I just need to move my phone a little closer to the microphone. Well, that was a song I didn't recognize. So I'm going to have you tell me about it.
Yeah, no, I definitely know the song. The song is called My House, and it's by a band called Paris, spelled P-V-R-I-S. They spell it the cool way, according to them. And the reason why we chose that song for the opening is because their guitarist, Alex, and their bass player, Brian, they're huge WWE fans. And they even said that it's their goal to eventually play live at a WWE show. Not to mention, Paige and Seth Rollins have both given that song a nod of approval, so it's wrestling related in a sense, and they're one of my favorite bands, and I love them, and I'm honored to have their song as a part of our podcast.
Well, we have a lot to cover, and several different, we're not focused just on one federation, and that's the way our podcast is going to be. We're going to make our way around to just about everybody that we can. There was some news this week about one of the more famous men on the planet, and that is The Rock. What's going on with The Rock?
The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania, you guys. WrestleMania 31, and The Rock is going to be there. I'm excited. I'm, super excited, actually. Did I say 31? I meant 32. I am so sorry. Already messing up. But, it's announced that he will be in attendance. We don't necessarily know what his role will be, but the great one will be at the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania, and that's huge news. I mean, you have to expect that something big is going to go down if The Rock's going to be there.
Well, and that reminds me of last year when The Rock was...
Oh, yes.
I mean, refresh my memory, but...
Yeah, you mean that moment that I marked out like a crazy person?
Yeah, I was trying to set you up there.
No, he came out and, was doing his usual stick, panting to the crowd and all this good stuff. And, of course, the Authority had to come and ruin the party. And, Stephanie was trash-talking and calling him an East Bay boy and slapped him a few times. And he said that he doesn't slap women, but he knows someone that will. And, I mean, the crowd knew that Ronda Rousey was in attendance, so the crowd went insane. Started cheering for Ronda Rousey, and sure enough, Ronda Rousey showed up. It was in the middle of the ring, and told Stephanie, whatever ring she steps into is her ring, and Stephanie tried to get her out of there, and so did Triple H, and she freaking judo tossed Triple H, and then she put Stephanie in an armbar, and it was the greatest thing in the world. It was awesome.
And so, as you said, if The Rock is going to be there, he don't show up just to take a back seat to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely not. And, you know, the thing is, I mean, a lot of people like to say a lot of things about The Rock, or, you know, that he's like a spotlight hogger, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, people see it in different ways, but the fact of the matter is that he puts butts in seats, you know what I mean? And he cares about the business, and he knows that if he has to put someone over, or if he has to be a filler for something, he's going to do it, but he's going to do it his way, and it's going to be amazing either way.
Well, I mean, and think about even the year before, they stole the show right off the bat with him, Stone Cold, and Hulk Hogan, yeah. all in the ring together at the same time. I mean, that was chilling worthy. Yeah, I just got cold chills.
Yep, I remember that. That was insane. I freaked out. I was like, there's like literally the Mount Rushmore of WWE was in the middle of the ring that night, and it was fantastic.
And speaking of Mount Rushmore, that makes me think of our good friend and my cousin, John. Unfortunately, he can't be with us listening because of the new setup. We got to figure out a way to get him to be able to listen on the show. But he come up with that Mount Rushmore line.
Yep, I remember that was his line. I totally stole it from him, but I definitely got to give him credit. He's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel bad that he texted me earlier today. You could tell he was excited about the show, and unless Trevor knows a way to listen by phone because he's not got a computer access, we got to figure that out for him.
Yeah, definitely, because he's always been there. He's been a part of the team for just as long as I have, and we're the four that keeps this thing running. You know what I mean? And he's a really, really essential part of our family, and I hope eventually he gets to listen somehow.
Well, we'll try to figure something out for him for the future. So we've got The Rock coming to WrestleMania, and really the huge news for this week is, and people might scratch their head, but TNA kind of has taken center stage this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
And I understand that you're quite a fan of someone who may show up in TNA this week.
Yeah, Maria Kanellis. I've been a fan of Maria Kanellis for a really long time because I've been watching WWE for a really long time. And that's where she came from. That's how I know her. She was in the Diva Search. I believe it was in like 2007, 2008, maybe sooner. I don't remember what Diva Search she came from, but that's where she originally came from. And then, you know, she had her time with Santino Marella, and she even wrestled Lita at one point in her career. And I don't know, she's always been one of my favorite female wrestlers. You know, she was the first lady of Ring of Honor, and she's gonna be showing up with her boyfriend Mike Bennett. So I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited to see them in TNA. Like, I think it's gonna be good for TNA, and I think that the fans of TNA and Ring of Honor are definitely gonna love seeing them there.
Well, it looks like that's going to be a done deal because Bennett and his tag team partner Taven dropped the belts to the War Machine at the Ring of Honor Final Battle, and they were on the TV tapings the next day, but that was their final date. There have been rumors that TNA have wanted to shore up their roster ahead of their Pop TV debut, and so signing some of those names that you were mentioning, plus hoping to get some of their people that have whose contracts are about to expire. You know, I don't like to beat a dead horse, but their time on Destination America nearly put the company under.
Yeah, the final nail in the coffin almost, it seemed like. And I think the main issue with that is not a lot of people had Destination America in their, their cable subscriptions, and it was kind of like a channel that got lost in translation, and they thought, okay, well, since it's going to be their own channel, and plus Ring of Honor was on it, and they were making it like Wrestling Wednesday, and that was great and everything, but it sucked because not everyone had that channel, so people were just forgetting that TNA was on, and it was costing them money, and the viewership was down, and it was awful. But I'm glad that Pop took them under their wing, because I have Pop, so that's a good thing, so I'll be able to watch. And I don't know. I think Pop is a station that's offered more of the your cable company, so it'll be better for them in the long run.
And Pop's been airing specials, introducing TNA to the viewers, and the ratings on that are already better than what they were getting on Destination America.
And that's always a good sign. And see, that's the thing, because everyone obviously knows that WWE is the flagship company for as far as professional wrestling goes. But, TNA, they're pretty freaking awesome, and they really do deserve a platform for the world to see it. And I think Pop, it'll be right at home with them. I think that they'll do fairly well on that station. So it makes me happy because, as you know, I really never used to watch TNA until recently, so it would have kind of sucked for me to, finally get into this company, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So I'm glad to know that it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Well, and it's interesting because they struggled so hard after their contract with Spike ran out, and I remember how excited they were to go on to Destination America, yeah. and the word was that Destination America was going to invest heavy, and that they
were like wrestling fans, so
yeah,
they would take care of them. Yep, I remember that too.
And then it was like, it's probably not this soon, but it seemed like it was like 3 weeks in, and they're like, well, we're not so sure we're behind the product anymore.
Absolutely. It was kind of like they changed their mind. It's kind of like they tricked them, like, oh, we love you, we'll take care of you. And then they showed up and they're like, by the way, we're joking.
Yeah. Sorry about that, but there ain't no money coming your way.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks because, I guess it's a business standpoint of thing, but it bummed me out because, the people that own Destination America, they were like, wrestling is an American pastime, we're wrestling fans, and we'll get to show you, what it is, backstage wrestling and things like that, and none of it happened, and you're just like, oh, okay, you sold us a lie, never mind.
And it wouldn't have been as bad, in my estimation, had they not been fighting so hard. They fought hard to find somebody.
Yeah.
And then they'd have been better off not to have found somebody.
I agree. I think it would have been better if they would have, I'm not saying that they should do this now because obviously they have Pop, but, back in the time when they were struggling to find a station, maybe they could have, made it, computer exclusive where you watch online for the time being, or maybe even YouTube or something, and then until they found a more permanent home, and then,
And the executives there at Pop TV are wrestling fans, and Trevor's telling me that they're your guys' age range, so
that's cool.
they're gonna cater to that audience, and
awesome. They're not going to be out of touch with the times. Not saying that all old people are out of touch with the times.
Careful now.
I know, that's why I had to say not all.
Of course, when we talk about TNA and people they lost and things like that, it was good for some of the other federations. There's GFW got some people. NXT definitely got, and now the main roster with Rhino moving up to the main roster. So it helps some of the other places. It's just too bad that it had to be at TNA's expense. But I think they're going to come through. They've still got a good roster, some good young talent, along with some people that have been around for quite a while. they're going to be okay as long as they can get good, solid TV slot that, when it comes to television, you got to know that Monday night at 8 o'clock, you're going to sit down and you're going to watch this show. And then
Monday Night Raw, for sure.
And it doesn't matter what federation or what company we're talking about. You got to know that, well, this is when it's going to be, and I'm going to be able to get it on my cable company. And, even still in a day and age where you can go online and find things, and there's something about watching wrestling on TV.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different when you watch it online or through a phone. Like, for me, for example, like, for a while, I didn't watch Monday Night Raw live. I still don't, because I get it on delayed time because I have Time Warner, so I get it West Coast time. But back then, when I used to watch it live, like, there was nothing like watching it live, because if you watch it later or if you watch it online, it's like there's that element of spoilers, and it's not like, it doesn't have that oh my god factor to it anymore. So if you're not watching wrestling live on TV, I mean, watching it on the computer or the phone gets the job done, but there's nothing like, watching it live, sitting on your couch or your whatever with your snacks and getting ready to watch some good old-fashioned wrestling, because that's what we as fans love to do.
Well, and you're not going to get that pop like it is when it's live. And more, I mean, if you get the WWE app on your phone, if something crazy happens, it's going to flash up on your notifications and tell you what just happened.
It's like spoiled for you.
And it's like,
crap, that's happened to me before many of times. I'm like, great. Now I already know what's going to happen. Like, do I even need to watch it? Like, it's... Because I hate spoilers. I hate spoilers with anything, with movies, TV shows, and I'm the same way with my wrestling. And I try so hard to, like, stay away from Facebook or Twitter. Like you said, I have to, like... Sometimes I have to uninstall my app because I'm like, I don't want it to be spoiled,
Well, let's see. Where are we at here? Ring of Honor stars making their debut. We got that covered. TNA has been teasing a miracle for Tuesday.
I wonder what that could mean.
We do not have an inside scoop
Any
on
clue?
it.
Yeah, we have no clue of what that could be. I don't know.
I mean, it's probably not the Mike Bennett and Maria issue, because that's out there.
Yeah, that's kind of been out there.
So, I mean, you can speculate many things. What about Hulk Hogan showing up?
Oh man, okay. Hey.
Because
that's actually a possibility.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
He spent plenty of time in TNA.
Yep, he has.
And,
he's not on good terms with WWE right now, so I mean,
And, it would kind of fit the miracle, Well, I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean, the fact that they're on, like, honestly, the fact that TNA is still going and has a solid station to, broadcast their stuff on is a miracle in itself. So maybe that's just the theme of the debut show. I don't know, but I feel like they wouldn't be teasing it that much if it was just the theme of the show.
Right.
And, like I said, it has to be something huge to be like, oh man, like, this is going to save TNA in a way. This is going to be what it takes to put us on the new level. And if it's Hulk Hogan, I honestly wouldn't be surprised, to be 100% honest with you.
And, there's been a lot of, throughout the years, TNA's had numerous big-name people that have been a part. And they've had numerous people that took on Dixie Carter. That seemed to be a big theme. That who was Dixie Carter feuding with?
Yeah, that was, and it seemed like she was feuding with everyone, you know, like Bully Ray, aka Bubba Ray Dudley. You know, her getting put through a table, like, oh my goodness, that was amazing, you know. Everybody, like, it seemed like everyone was on Dixie's bad side, and if you weren't on good terms with her, you were going to get the, like, bad end of the stick, you know what I mean? Like, something was going to happen to you if you weren't EC3, you were probably on her bad side, pretty much.
Well, I wish that she would come into the pop era as a baby face instead of...
I was just about to say the same thing. You must have read my mind. I want to see Dixie as a face. Come on. That'd be great.
Because I'm not critical of her, and she's a great person, but she's not the world's greatest heel.
Yeah. It doesn't seem believable, really. It's like, you're a sweetheart, and everyone knows this. Stop faking your stuff. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, she's okay as a heel, and she can get under your skin, and she can get on your nerves, and that's why when she got put through a table, everyone went insane, because it was like, finally, you know? But
right.
she just seems too nice to be a heel, and it's like, just be a face, be that, like, empowering woman who gives the crowd what they want, and, you know, that, like, is a people person. Like, I think it would favor her so much more.
Well, this isn't in your show notes, but we decided to, at the last second, to add New Japan has got their
New Japan, good stuff.
Wrestle Kingdom. It's hard to believe it's been a year.
Seriously, it's so funny because I was looking at, again, like the On This Date thing that's on Facebook, and I was looking at that, and I was like, Wrestle Kingdom 9 was a year ago? Like, it's been a year already? Wait, what? I'm, like, so confused. Where did the time go?
And you know, as big a fan of Jeff Jarrett as I am, still the highlight to that for me was Jim Ross doing the play-by-play.
The commentary, yeah, that was amazing. It's funny because I remember I watched it like the day, I think it was like a day later on this one site where I used to watch my wrestling, and it was amazing. Like, for my first time watching New Japan, I was like, holy crap, why have I waited this long to watch this? Because it's fantastic.
Well, what got me was you couldn't understand half of the things that were going on because it was in Japanese, and it didn't matter because the wrestling was so good that the talking didn't matter.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. And the fact that there was, like, you know, also, too, another thing that I appreciated, too, was, like, there was MMA-style matches in it, too, so I was like, this is amazing. Like, I was so entertained for, like, 3-4, I think it was, like, what, a 3-4 hour show?
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like, there wasn't a dull moment. Like, there really wasn't.
And you know, I could go down through and try to bring the names of the people in the matches, and I would sound so foolish because I can't pronounce the
half of them or any of them.
Well, no, I can get AJ Styles in there, okay?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, because he was there.
And I can get Jay Lethal and the Bullet Club. You know, I can do those things, but there's in one pay-per-view there are 8 different title matches.
That's awesome. It's like, that's what WWE needs to do. That's what every wrestling company should do. Just put every single title on the line every single time.
And they don't do like 3-minute matches, and they don't do the this match is the bathroom break match.
No, there is no bathroom break in New Japan because you'll miss something great if you decide to use the restroom. Like, you literally have to hold. Like, I joked about this with NXT. You would literally have to hold your pee, just like, no, I can't go to the restroom right now. You're just like, what if I come back and I miss something amazing? Like,
well, I mean, I look and
never a dull moment.
And there's a match, and this is one of the ones that's not for a title, and I can't pronounce either name. It's something Goto and something Naito, and who knows? That might be the match that is just amazing.
Yep, that might be match of the night, and you would never know because it just. The thing about New Japan is there's so many like different characters and size people. I mean, like everything is different. It's not like the wrestling you see in WWE or even TNA or even ROH or whatever. It's not like American wrestling. It's totally different, and everyone's so charismatic and like these larger than life people, and they like. I don't know, they just love wrestling. Like, it shows just by them, like, walking down the ramp. You can see it. They're, like, passionate about what they do. And that's what makes these matches so flawless because it's, like, it's not what we're used to seeing on American wrestling. It's, I don't know, it's a whole nother world when it comes to New Japan.
Back in the day, I mean, you weren't anybody if you hadn't been to Japan.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like everyone has gone there once upon a time in their wrestling career.
And people talk about, I mean, it's one of those things that when they come back, you know, they talk about their time in Japan and whether they were face or heel, it's a big, you know, I mean, that's a big thing on the resume of a wrestler.
It's like that one bullet point that you want on your resume, you know? Like, I've been to Japan, I did that, even if it was a short period of time, I did this, and you hear people like Kevin Owens talk about it, you hear people like Finn Balor talk about it. A lot of people in WWE have been to Japan, you know, people that have passed away, like Eddie Guerrero's been in Japan. Like, they talk about it because it shaped who they were as a wrestler, and it taught them so much about the business.
Well, and then you look back at people like Vader and people that went over and made their name over there. And then, you know, Kevin Owens fits that very well because a lot of times they go over and become a huge star, and then they come back to America and they don't necessarily have to work their way through the ranks.
Because they've been to Japan.
Not that Kevin Owens didn't work his way through the ranks throughout his career, but, you know, in the last few years, he's been on a roll, and
most definitely.
It's just like nothing's stopping this guy right now.
And, you know, another prime example of, like, how good Japan is as far as pro wrestling goes is Asuka in NXT. She is so over right now in like NXT. People love her. I love her. People want her to be the next challenger for Bayley's NXT Women's title. Like, she is so over, and she was a sensation in Japan, and like she comes here and she's just as loved, you know, here as she was over there. And another good example is, you know, Hideo Itami. He was a star in Japan, and he's on the injury reserve list right now, but when he came to NXT, people went insane for him, and people love him. And it's just so cool how, like you said, it like translates over well. Like, if you were in Japan, and if you did well there, you're more than likely going to do well in the States.
Well, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't have to have this huge persona with a microphone in their hand. Their persona is their entrance, their in-ring ability, the way they relate to the fans. They don't need a microphone in their hand and do
they definitely don't.
And do a 5 or 10 minute, you know, in the ring interview, promo, or any of those things. And I remember when we were all so excited last year for Wrestle Kingdom 9. And I remember that being a big thing, is like, let's get the microphone out of some of these people's hands back here in the States, and just let
them wrestle.
You know, let's let Paige do what she does best, and that's what she does in the ring.
Yep, absolutely.
And
100%.
And you know, whatever company we're talking about. I mean, this exact conversation last year.
But it's Paul Heyman.
Right. Was, you know, you got to build storylines. There's no doubt about it. But as far as, you know, every single show, starting with 20 minutes standing in the middle of the ring with microphones, it doesn't have to be that way. let's have somebody in the ring with a microphone, and the next thing you know, somebody comes flying out of the stands and have an impromptu fight to start the night. We don't have to introduce what the main event for the night. Let Michael Cole do that.
Yeah, exactly. The wrestlers don't have to do it. Like you said, let them show us what they're about and who their character is by how they perform in the ring instead of talking on the microphone. Yeah,
I mean, if it's a night where Brock Lesnar is going to be there, and whoever he's going to beat up that night, let him sneak through the crowd and beat him up.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Yes.
Instead of having his music and having to listen, and not that I love to listen to Heyman, but, after he beats him up for a few minutes, then let Heyman talk for 2 or 3 minutes. But to just stand out there in the middle of the ring and listen and listen and listen, I honestly don't tune into wrestling to listen to people talk.
Talking. Yeah, no. I don't think anyone does.
I mean, I know it's sports entertainment, but to me it's a sport. And a sport means action, not words. My dad always said, talk's cheap.
Absolutely. And I agree 100% because it's like you could talk the talk, but can you walk the walk?
Well, and that's the thing. You got somebody like, and we've talked Brock Lesnar so many times it's not funny, but you got somebody who doesn't do well with the microphone, and that's the reason, you got Heyman in the picture to begin with. Just let Lesnar do what Lesnar does, and that's beat people up.
Yeah. Let his actions speak louder than his words.
I mean, think about it. I mean, and still going on, in the tag team division, Sin Cara and his partner have been getting a pretty good push, and they don't. Well, I mean, we've heard them a little bit.
They talk every now and then, yeah, but it's not like 5-10 minute tangents of I'm going to cut a promo. No, they show what they can do by their high flying maneuvers and things like that, and that in itself is entertaining, and that's honestly all we need. Well,
that, and you think about, I mean, these guys will do anything to their body. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about what he did with that ladder. That was that like the most insane move ever?
That was so scary. I was scared. I was like, what was that? Why would you do that to yourself? Like, it was horrible. It was awesome, but it looked so painful. And yeah, like, he literally put his body, Kalisto, he put his body on the line, and it was like, oh, jeez. And, like, that, like, even won him a Slammy for, like, was it, like, the oh my god moment of the year or something?
Yeah, and it was
like, oh, Jesus.
And it was just like the week before, or, 2 weeks before.
Just the week before.
I guess it was fresh in everybody's mind. Well,
because it was insane.
Not always is all the news good in wrestling, and this isn't in your show notes either, but the wrestling world lost a big name this week, and it was not somebody who stepped in the ring, but it was somebody who their music has been a big part of the career of Triple H. I know Jericho was a huge fan. Tell us about what we're talking about here, Vanessa.
Yeah, Lemmy from Motorhead. He passed away at, I believe it was 74, 75 years old. This was last week on a Monday. And I found out super late because I don't know. I think it was, I wasn't even in town. I was staying on vacation with friends. And I guess my phone was being dumb that day. So I got like all my notifications super late. And I found out. And it broke my heart. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was a huge Motorhead fan or whatever, but like you said, they contributed so much to Triple H's theme music over the years. They even did, theme music for Evolution, and then recently, they used their song Ace of Spades for NXT TakeOver London. And it's just, it was so sad and so unexpected. And even though he, like you said, even though he wasn't a wrestler per se, his vocals were lent to many wrestling theme songs, and because of that, wrestling fans mourned his death as well. And it sucks, man. Like, it hit me hard. I was like, this is not cool. Like, it was so unexpected, and I didn't even know that he was battling cancer. So it was a shock, and it hurt a lot.
Well, in his honor, we've got something here to play.
Behold the King of Kings. On your knees, dog. All hail. Bow down to the King. Bow down to the King in red as he walked from the place where the traitor lost both his name and his face. Through the halls and the corridors, stinking in blood, he tasted his grin, and it tasted good. The King took his head, left him broken and dead. Bow down to the King. Bow down to the King. Bow down to the King, left none living, none able to tell. The King took their heads and he sent them to hell. Their screams echo loud in the place of their death. Ripped open they die with their final breath. They hail the King of Kings. Bow down to the King. Bow down to the King. Bow down to the King. Into the dirt. His will be done. Now feel your fear. There can be only one. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down to the Bow down. Bow down to the King. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down. Bow down. The King is here. Now feel your fear. The King of Kings. All hail the King. On your knees for the King. The King of Kings. There is only one.
Oh, well, it's kind of bittersweet when you listen to something like that and you love the theme song and all, but you realize that you're playing it because somebody, Lemmy Kilmister, Uh,
Because as the song was playing, I was just thinking, I can guarantee you that Lemmy will be inducted into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame this coming year. Like, it has to happen. If it doesn't, I would be surprised. But I'm gonna like bet my money on that and say we're gonna see that happen.
oh, well, I'm getting a note from hopefully everything is, well, one thing about being on live on the air is that things happen, and by the time you figure out what went wrong, it's not going wrong anymore. So apparently we had some quiet time, and that's all fixed now. We've got some interesting an interesting topic coming up, and I just watched the movie this morning for the first time.
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I know where we're going with this one.
And well, I'll pretty well take care of this one and let you chime in when you feel like it. The Masked Saint movie. I was fortunate enough to interview Pastor Chris Whaley several weeks ago about the movie, which is about his life. And there was an embargo on being able to review the movie until January. It is going to come out on the 8th of this month. And I got to tell you, this is a good movie. This is a good movie for wrestling fans. It's a good movie for Christians. It's a good movie for family. I mean, this is an all-around good movie. And it was a very good interview. Enjoyed the time that I got to spend with Pastor Chris. When you think about it, he was a professional wrestler going to seminary at the same time. Now that I asked him about that, and that's not exactly two things that you usually think of going together. Even though I'm a pastor and I'm a wrestling fan and a ring announcer. I'm a ring announcer.
That's so cool.
And I love it. I have a great time doing it. One of the very interesting things for people who are big WWE marks and have been since the 70s and 80s especially, Roddy Piper is in the movie. It's his last known performance theatrically. And guess what role he plays, Vanessa?
What role does Rowdy play?
He's the promoter. He's the Vince. He's the Vince McMahon of this wrestling federation.
That's awesome.
It is hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious, to think about Roddy Piper being the Vince McMahon. That is hilarious. He does
That's awesome, though.
He does
so
a
cool.
great job, and some of the back scene behind the curtain scenes that they do. He's kind of ruthless like Vince is, and one of the things that made me even think even more about him and Vince tying together in this. I know Vince used to be a commentator, but in this, the character that Rowdy plays is the ring announcer. So
that's so crazy. That's awesome, though.
I
can relate to that.
Yeah, and it kind of ties the two because you used to hear Vince McMahon all the time, and there's some interesting things that happen throughout the movie, and I got to tell you, it's almost as if this movie was made and released at exactly the right time for me personally. Because in the movie, Pastor Chris, and he goes by Pastor Chris in the movie, even though he has a different last name, retires from the wrestling ring, and he goes to a church that is just about ready to fall apart. Not just the building, and even though it was, but congregation-wise and everything. So he's kind of almost starting from scratch. And that's what I'm doing here at this new church that I'm going to be affiliated with and basically starting from scratch. And it was it just touched me in so many different ways. It touched me to see Roddy Piper knowing that he's not with us no more. It touched me to watch let's face it. Some people look at wrestling fans and wrestlers as
weirdos.
Yeah, there you go.
People.
There you go. Great time for you to chime in. They're not serious sports fans. They're wrestling fans.
I get that a lot. You have no idea. It's so frustrating.
And you know what? There's a lot of closet wrestling fans out there. Don't let everybody fool you. There might be some people that like to make fun of it, but there's a lot of people that like to watch wrestling.
Absolutely, it's like we're like I don't want to say a cult because that is weird, but we're just awesome people. I mean, we're unique in a way, and not everyone's gonna understand the love of wrestling, but when it's there, and it's something that probably won't go away even when you try to kick it. You're just like, maybe I don't want to watch anymore because I've been there before, but I just keep going back.
Me too.
There's something about it. Yep, there's something about it.
I went through a period of time where I just didn't watch anymore, and then when I went back, it was like I didn't miss anything. I mean, I could catch up, and and the movie kind of hits home in so many different ways in my life as a pastor, because it starts out with when he comes in to meet the treasurer was the first person I think there, and he introduced the treasurer introduced him to this like 90-year-old woman who was the organist. And it's like, oh, wow, and they started talking about the choir, and when they start bringing up, making a joyful noise, you're thinking, well, this choir is going to be really bad, and they were. I mean, they were so bad it hurt to listen. But then he introduced him to the chairman of the board and the main person that funded the church, and of course, because he donated so much money, he thought he got to run everything, and I mean, I've lived some of this stuff, and it was real life to me. And one of the most touching scenes in the entire movie is when a prostitute comes into the church, and some people kind of shunned her, and Pastor Chris comes down and practically begs her not to leave and to stay.
Wow.
And because of that, numerous prostitutes and druggies and different issues like that came to know Christ through the church, and he gave a very good lecture to the congregation on the shame on you for looking down your nose at somebody.
Yeah.
And to me, it is a fantastic movie. There's lots of good wrestling things. It actually, you'll enjoy this, and it's right at the very beginning when Chris is a little kid, probably 8-10 years old. He was having problems with a bully, and he watched wrestling.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
He learned how to do a drop toe hold.
That's so cool.
Into a submission maneuver to where if you continue with it, you could actually break the person's leg. So the bully comes after him again, and he does the drop toe hold on the bully until the kid is about to cry because he's about to break the kid's leg. It was just...
That's amazing.
It was so cool.
I need to totally see that. That's great. That's super cool.
Yeah, and let me read a little bit of the official things here. Starring Brett Grandstaff as Christopher the Saint Samuels. The Masked Saint follows the journey of former professional wrestler Chris Samuels, who is Grandstaff, who retires from the ring to settle down as a small-town pastor. When Samuels witnesses rampant problems in the community, he decides to moonlight as a masked vigilante fighting the injustice. And that's another whole direction for the story, because actually the police are looking for him for being a vigilante.
But he's masked, so they have no idea that it's him. That's great.
While facing crisis at home and in church, Samuels must evade the police and somehow reconcile his secret violent identity with his calling as a pastor. Inspired by the life of Pastor Chris Whaley, The Masked Saint is based on the book of the same name by Whaley. We're excited about working with the filmmakers of The Masked Saint and the marketing team they've put together, said Mark Bourdet, co-president of Freestyle Releasing. A true story fueled by courage and perseverance. We hope moviegoers will be inspired and encouraged. And this is awesome right here. Winner for the Best Picture at the 2015 International Christian Film Festival.
That's fantastic.
The Masked Saint is written by Scott Crowell and Brett Grandstaff, directed by Warren P. Sonata, produced by Cliff McDowell, co-produced by David Anselmo, and executive produced by Gary Grandstaff and Joe Sisto. The movie also stars Laura Jean Korostecki, who was in Hannibal, Oscar and Emmy nominee Diane Carroll, Grey's Anatomy and White Collar, who won a Golden Globe for her performance in Julia, Patrick McKenna, The Red Green Show, James Preston Rogers, who was in Pixels, and of course the late WWE Hall of Famer Roddy Piper in his last confirmed theatrical release. The Masked Saint comes out on the 8th of this month, and I know the production company, and I've got that here somewhere in my notes. They're planning on doing numerous Christian-based films, and you know, on this show, not the wrestling podcast, but on the Ed Boston Podcast Network, we heavily promote places that do Christian entertainment, and it's always good to hear that there's another one in the works, because we can't get enough of good, wholesome family entertainment.
I was just about to say that. I feel like we need more of that. I feel like we don't see it enough, and then when we do, it's so rare, and we go and watch these types of movies, and it's like, man, my soul needed that. Like, you know, like how you were talking about how you feel that the movie came out at the right time for you, and it's just hearing you say that, it's like, man, God works in mysterious ways, and the fact that like wrestling was all tied into it too, and the fact that we're talking about it on a wrestling podcast, like, God is so good, and He knows what He's doing, and I think it's pretty awesome.
And I can't tell you how much of this move into this new church and that whole story is just instance after instance of that had to be God that did that. And
yeah, absolutely.
There is just lots of wow moments that have to do with that. Well, we're going to... well, before I go on to say that, we need to remind people that Global Force Wrestling has given a huge endorsement to the Masked Saint and promotion. Jeff has put out some YouTubes and different things, and in the interview that I did with Pastor Chris, he spoke very highly of Jeff and his business ability, and was very excited that GFW was on board promoting the show. And we will get up a link to the interview with Pastor Chris, as well as continue to promote the release on the 8th. And I'm telling you, folks, you need to go see these movies. First of all, because it is a very, very good movie, but you have to support. Well, let's just say it this way: you got to put your money where your mouth is. And it doesn't do any good to say you want these kind of movies and then just sit at home and not let them make any.
Watch it or not try to watch it somehow. Exactly. I agree.
So HBK has come out and said that he supports the movie as well, and I think all of the I asked Pastor Chris about the Christians in the wrestling business, and we had a good discussion about that, and he's encouraged that more and more people are coming out as Christians in a business that you don't necessarily associate. Being a wrestler and being a Christian is something that you normally hear. I think, we've got a very interesting topic to close the show with, and I'm going to play a segment here. Let me get over to the console. This past Monday on Raw, they decided to go back in time, I think. And
that was like Attitude Era stuff happening.
Exactly.
That was funny.
Vince McMahon was, and I guess I should put air quotes up.
Quotations.
Yeah, arrested. So listen to this.
And I'm going to remind you of something. Your predecessors, the Wild Samoans, everybody remembers Alpha and Sika. As far as your Uncle Alpha is concerned, I must have been almost 10 years. I made him wrestle every single night of the week. By the time I got finished, there was nothing left of Alpha. I put him through hell. I enjoyed every second of it. Made money off of it, too. Then again, Alpha was the brains of the outfit. That's your uncle. Now we get to your dad, Sika. That's a whole other story there, pal. I used Sika up. And I lined my pockets with Sika's money. I paid Sika your dead peanuts. My neck. My neck. It's my neck. Somebody help me, damn it, my neck. It's my neck.
Dad! Roman, you just put your hands on a 70-year-old man. Officers, arrest that man! Officers, this man is a menace. He's a Neanderthal. You saw what happened. Arrest that man! Look, you saw what happened. Please, arrest that man.
No. We weren't brought here to be your personal police department. We're here to do security, and that's it. And you need to...
Don't you talk to me like that. I need to drop what attitude? Do you know?
You need to step back or you're going to jail instead of him. So take a step back. Now, I'm not going to tell you again. Step back. Okay?
I'm better. I'm better. Let's just calm down, okay? No one's going to...
Yeah, they're going to arrest me.
No, they're not. Let me tell
after...
you. They will not, no.
She needs to stay calm or she's going to jail.
Wait, hang on. I said, let's just take it easy. Oh, you guys think you're badasses, okay? You know who I am, okay? So, no. Okay? You don't threaten. No,
I don't care who you are. She's not...
Don't tell me you don't care who I am. I'm Vince McMahon. You can't... You gotta care who I am, pal. I know your boss. I mean, way up there, I know your boss. Don't threaten my daughter.
You keep it up and you're going to jail.
Don't threaten my daughter.
Tell her to stay away from me. Tell her to stay out of my face.
Dad,
Okay?
your neck.
Stay out of my face. Calm down or you are going to jail. I'm not taking
You're pissing me off right now.
I really don't care.
Don't
you
do
need
that.
to relax too.
Don't do that.
She's not going to start yelling at me like that.
No, Vince McMahon.
Fellas, come on. Listen, you need to back up. You need to back up.
I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that, guys.
You know what? Take it. Take it. Come on.
Oh my God.
You're arresting Mr.
Come
Romero?
on, this is ridiculous. Look, he lost his temper. He's crazy. You can't do this. Don't arrest my brother, and I backed away. Quit giving me such attitude. He didn't mean to.
Calm down. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, wait, that doesn't apply to you. You don't have to make any statements. You know your rights. Don't say another word, you're going to jail. Let's go. Get him out of here.
No! You can't do this! You can't do this!
Come on!
Please, officers, please, you can't do this, please! I'm not a lady. Stakes. Keep your hands off my father.
Come on, let's go. Hey, man. Relax. Please, relax. Stop. Please. Come on, man.
All right. Well, Vince McMahon went to jail on Monday Night Raw.
And it was the greatest thing ever. Just kidding.
He set a world record, I think, for the fastest that a person can be arrested, booked, bailed out, and returned to the show.
That's funny.
And, of course, tell us what happened when he returned.
Yeah, he came back and he told Roman Reigns that he would be defending his WWE World Heavyweight title against Sheamus, but there is a special guest referee, and that is himself, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and it's going to be awesome. I am so looking forward to next week's, well, not next week, 2 more days, Monday Night Raw. I don't know, I thought the whole segment was awesome. Confession, I literally just watched it like this morning, or not even this morning, it was like a few minutes before we went on air because I didn't have my phone with me, it was charging, and then prior to that, on Monday Night Raw, I wasn't in town, so I missed this whole fiasco, but I watched it this morning, and it was awesome. It reminded me, it seems so realistic to me, it reminded me like, Vince is just a senile bastard, you know, like, I don't know, like, he made you hate him in that segment, because he talked about how, you know, he, like, worked Roman Reigns' you know, uncle and dad, and, like, didn't give him any money, and, like, he got rich off of them. It was just like, you're such a jerk right now. I mean, it was so good.
And the New York accent from the police officer, and you know, TMZ reported that the police were taking a lot of phone calls, people buying what.
That's so awesome. Vince's mugshot was probably the coolest thing to him. He looked so upset. He was so mad.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say you can't fake that mugshot, but you know he was faking that mugshot.
Yeah, but it looked so believable. Like, that's what I loved about it. And, like, the whole lead up to that, too. It sounded like a drunken altercation, especially with Stephanie, which is like, you're giving me attitude right now. Like, I don't know. It was just so believable. It was funny. I was like, are they drunk right now? Because this is what happens when people are drunk and they just, like, want to fight with the police. But they made it work, and it was believable. Obviously, you know, as wrestling fans, you know it's not really happening, but I mean, this one, like, it made you feel like, all right, you guys did a good job on this one. It worked.
Well, and Stephanie kept mouthing off from a distance, and Vince, you're really starting to piss me off.
Yeah, that was funny. Don't talk to my daughter like that.
And there was that part, and then they even got it down pat enough to where the mugshot was done with him in the right clothes.
Yeah.
Did you notice he had the right tie on and everything.
It wasn't like they made a mistake and was like, oops, we changed into that. And
yeah, you know, they didn't take the picture if they did, they remembered to have him dressed in the same clothes. But you know how you can take pictures way in advance, and then they
pulled it off flawlessly. Almost. Like I said, it seems so real, and it was funny because like when he was like, "Do you know who I am?"
I know your boss. I mean, the very high ups, not just your boss. I'm Vince McMahon.
He's awesome. That made me laugh. I enjoyed it, and like seeing him in that role on TV did not bother me whatsoever. I was like, okay, this is reminding me why I love you. Like sometimes I don't agree with everything you do, but this is why I love you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just brings you back to when the No Chance music would hit, that you were getting ready to. Yeah, you were getting ready to see something really good. You know, whether it made you mad or you popped or whatever, you were just getting ready to see something good. Now, what about the fact that people were actually buying the story?
Yeah, people were actually calling in and was like, "Did Vince McMahon get arrested?" To me, that's hilarious. To me, that shows that the fact that it was like on TMZ. I think it shows that it's like reaching a whole new audience, you know, and like that audience per se weren't wrestling fans before, and so now they are, and it's like, oh shit, he really got arrested, you know. So because they don't know, like, you know, that wrestling is quote unquote scripted, so they're like, oh my god, this guy really got arrested. Why did he get arrested? So it's pretty cool to me. And
it was Attitude Era type stuff, but with them on location. You know, Renee Young was there, and he comes out of the precinct, and yeah, that makes me think of back when they were having the war with the WCW, and how every week you'd see DX.
And people invading everything.
Yeah, and they were on a tank that one time, and
awesome stuff. It was so funny because you mentioned the whole, you know, Renee Young and coming down of the precinct and everything, and I'm like, what is this, Law and Order SVU? Like, this is so good to me. I enjoyed it so much. It was awesome. Like, it made me remember, like, why I love wrestling. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but, like, because that's the era I grew up in. You know, I grew up in the Attitude Era. So, like, to see that, I was like, oh, man, the nostalgia is hitting hard right now. And, like I said, I don't agree with everything Vince does from a business standpoint, but when he's on TV, crazy shit happens when he's on TV, you know? So, I don't know. It was awesome.
And see, I guess maybe this is hard to put into words, because earlier we were talking about we want to see things happen in the ring, and that's what we want to. But this is the kind of stuff that will build a storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You know, building a storyline with reality. You know, talking about Afa and Seika, and you know, and Reigns, you know, just giving him a shove. You know, it's like, look, you're talking about my dad.
Yeah, like you're not doing the smart thing by talking shit about my family. Like, don't be doing that. It kind of reminds me of like how the authorities like always would pick on Daniel Bryan.
Uh-huh.
You know, before WrestleMania 29. Hold on, stop. Jesus Christ. Sorry, my roommate was bothering me. I'm so sorry.
Well, they're just jealous because they're not on the air.
Yeah, they just want to be on the radio. They want some airtime.
Well, why do you think they went back? And I mean, getting arrested is as old as the wrestling business.
Yeah.
And so,
absolutely.
Why do you think they went back and used something that's tried and true instead of something new? And
I don't know. Probably because it works. You know, I mean, they kind of were like, maybe they're like, okay, let's not try something new, because if we try something new, in this day and age, let's be honest, wrestling fans complain about everything. So they're like, maybe we could try something that we know will go over, because it's gone over before. And like I said, the Attitude Era was one of the most successful, eras for WWE, because it was real, and it was added to the storyline, but it was real things happening, and it was WCW and WWE were really feuding against each other, so it worked. And they're like, okay, well, since it worked before, maybe it'll work now. And let's be honest here, everyone can't stand Vince McMahon, so watching him get arrested will be amazing. And then of course he's gonna come back, like the senile bastard that he is, and he's gonna try to screw over Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Like, it just works, and I think that's why they didn't want to try anything new, because they're like, everyone hates Vince. Let's make people hate him even more. Let's let him get his comeuppance for a little bit, and then be like, you guys thought I'm all powerful, mighty Vince McMahon. You couldn't keep me down. I'm back, and that's gonna make people even more mad. And like I said, for people who might be new to the wrestling world, they're gonna be like, oh man, I'm gonna tune in next week because I have to see what Vince is gonna do to Roman. And even for long-time wrestling fans, you're going to be like, so is Roman going to get screwed out of the title again? Or is he going to, like, overcome the Authority? Like, what's going to happen? There's all these what-ifs now that you have to tune in to figure this out.
Well, it makes you wonder it makes me wonder a couple of things. First of all, the ratings had been so low, it's almost like, using a wrestling term, a thumb in the eye to the creative department. It's like, look, you guys have sucked lately, and so we're going to try something we know works. But it makes me wonder, are they going to continue to go back and use some things that they know works? Are we going to hear glass breaking and,
please.
Yeah, please.
That'd be awesome.
Are we going to see HBK and Triple H,
riding on tanks?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I don't know. One-time deal, or we're going for a flash in the past.
Like a flashback, like a blast from the past. Honestly, I mean, it's weird, because, I want the newer stars to get their spotlight, and I want newer stars to get pushed, because, like, as you know, like, I'm a huge advocate for NXT. Like, that's my thing. That's my favorite day of the week as far as wrestling goes, Wednesday. And so I'm all about, like, new people getting their time to shine, but it's like, yeah, new people can get their time to shine, but, like, let's add a little bit of old flair to it, because, like I said, I grew up in the Attitude Era, so I love that stuff. Like, that's what I'm all about. So I'm like, just add new people, and then add a little bit of old, and then mix it all together, and then boom, you get something great,
Well, WrestleMania is going to be in Dallas, Texas at Cowboy Stadium, and of course that's HBK country down in there. Who knows what's going to happen? You can, and we kind of like doing this kind of sitting here playing creative on our own.
Yeah, we like to write the show. Yep.
You can take some of these people that they've screwed up with. Think about the Ascension. They could take the Ascension and make them Vince's personal bodyguards,
I love it.
and get them out of this stupid gimmick.
Stardust? Yeah, no.
And yes, that's what you see in the dictionary when you look up stupid gimmick.
That's exactly it. That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes I don't know where the writers are headed. I don't know what they're doing, but if they keep, like, coming up with stuff like they did last week, I can almost guarantee you ratings will go higher, because it's going to be like, like I said, people are gonna feel nostalgic and be like, hey man, this reminds me of the time when I loved wrestling. This reminds me of a time where I couldn't miss Monday Night Raw, and where DVR didn't exist, that if you weren't home on a Monday night, you were like beating yourself up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you wasn't watching it the next day on your DVR. You didn't have YouTube, and if there was a video that came out, it was weeks later.
On someone's phone, and it was crappy, or like...
Right. So, I don't know. I think they can incorporate new with old and make something positive out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. We have enough, like, larger-than-life characters that almost embody that Attitude Era feel anyway. Like, I mean, like, John Cena, he's back. He's the ultimate babyface, you know what I mean? No matter where, like, I know that a lot of people boo him too, but in retrospect, he's the ultimate babyface. You have, like, you know, Lesnar. If you bring Lesnar back in, this huge guy that, like, takes no names and beats the hell out of everyone. And you have a guy like Kevin Owens who's, like, brash and arrogant. Like, I mean, you have these characters that would have done well in the Attitude Era. And so if, like, you add Attitude Era elements to it with these characters, I think it's going to be phenomenal. And, I mean, back in the Attitude Era, too, like, we had people like Lita, like Trish Stratus, Jacqueline, Ivory, and they were having amazing matches. And then now we have, like, people like Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Becky Lynch and Paige and, you know, Alicia Fox and Bella Twins. Like, it can work. It can strive in an Attitude Era environment.
Sure. Well, and you can have... I mean, think about back in the Attitude Era, some of the spectacular matches that come from that. I don't want people to think that Attitude Era was just people riding around on tanks, you know, because we mentioned that.
It wasn't just that.
Because, I mean, you know, look, the Montreal Screwjob. I mean, that those kind of feuds, and you think about Stone Cold and some of the opponents that he had.
Or like when Mankind got thrown off the you know, Hell in the Cell by the Undertaker. Like, let's not forget that. That was insane.
Well, or the Undertaker getting buried alive, but then his hand coming back up through the dirt.
Good times.
And so, I mean, it wasn't just about attitude. Well, there was a lot of good in-ring action, and that's what we're after. Now, I know we're about ready to close it off, but I know you've got to be excited about UFC 195. Is that what number we got?
Yeah, 195. That is where we are right now. Like I said, unfortunately, I'm not going to be ordering the pay-per-view because I'm going to be honest. I love the UFC. I love MMA, but usually when I order a pay-per-view, the women have to be on the card for me. That's just how I roll. It is what it is. And not only that, but I am saving up financially because I'm getting ready to do something amazing in February. But aside from all of that, I definitely am excited for this card. The main, I was going to say match because we're talking about wrestling, but the main fight of this card will be for the welterweight title, as Robbie Lawler looks to defend his title against Carlos Condit. This was actually supposed to happen at UFC 190. Actually, it was supposed to happen at 191, I believe. Or no, yeah, 193, but it didn't happen at 193. And then that's why Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm got put on the card. So this fight has been brewing for a while, and it's finally going to happen. And it's going to be a good card. I don't know the full card offhand, but of course it's on WrestlingNewsBlog.com. You should be able to see it. I know John put it up because he always does, because he's awesome like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to end up watching the pay-per-view later when it's online somehow or something. But definitely looking forward to that main event. And I'm going to say that I'm going to go for Robbie Lawler to retain his title, although I'm kind of scared because people have been dropping their titles like flies to other people. So, I don't know. You know, Ronda lost her title. Chris Weidman lost his title, and those two were, like, undefeated. And then Jose Aldo was undefeated, and he lost his title. So I'm just like, oh, man, everybody's losing now. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
So you've got something going on in February?
Yes, I do have something going on in February. It's not wrestling related, it's not MMA related, but I mean, it kind of relates to you in a sense, and it relates to TrevorDecker.com also, because I know that we premiered the Lacey Sturm song Impossible a couple months ago. I think it was last month, I don't remember. But I will actually be having the opportunity to meet Lacey on February the 4th. I'm going to, she's doing a show out here in Hollywood, and then I'm going to go to that, and I got meet and greet tickets. So I'm going to be doing that in February, so I have to kind of save my money.
Well, that's awesome news.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and, of course I'll be sharing pictures and stuff, so it'll be on the TrevorDecker.com, and I'm sure he'll share them on your end too, since you cover that kind of thing. And it's going to be awesome. I'm excited.
Well, this has been the very first edition of Wrestling Breakdown, and it just feels like old times.
Yes, it does. Honestly, like I'm glad to be back. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been with Wrestling News Blog with you guys for 3 years. You guys have been in my life for 3 years, and we've had many different podcasts under many different names. But I'm happy to continue with you guys and to bring this one to you guys each and every week. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited, and dude, you're my partner in crime, so we're back together.
We got to find a new person to pick on though, because Ryback's a babyface now, and they've got him back to being a tough guy. So
it's so weird. I don't know. Maybe the Ascension. I guess they could be our new.
Well, you mentioned Stardust, so I mean.
Oh yeah, we could do him too. Because I used to love Cody Rhodes. The name that Sean Happy mentioned. I used to love him. I mean, I still love Stardust too, but I don't know where they're going with it. So yeah, I think he might be our new guy.
There you go. All right, for our producer Trevor, everyone involved with the Ed Boston Podcast Network, this is Ed and Vanessa. Oh, Trevor has a suggestion for us, Bo Dallas.
Bo Dallas, yes. I like
that. That's perfect.
That is definitely perfect.
We'll have to write something. We'll write something for next week just for Bo Dallas.
Just for Bo Dallas. We gotta believe that it'll happen, and we'll write it down.
All right. Well, for Vanessa, this is Ed. We'll see you next week at 7 o'clock Eastern for the second episode of Wrestling Breakdown. Take it easy.
Bye, guys.